God is not different from the self, truth, and grace. God is the indweller, all-powerful and all-independent. The omniscient God exists within our hearts too. Our body has several limitations. Similarly, our mind, as well as reasoning faculty, has several limitations. But God within our hearts is limitless. When such divinity comes into our experience, we attain freedom and bliss. The external God appears as well as disappears. But God existing as self resides with us forever and provides permanent peace. The jiva becomes God when he gets rid of his tendencies. Sorrow is inevitable until God is attained. Their heart purifies, who offer the flower of ego at the feet of God. God is revealed only to the purest of the pure. As dry twigs remain in the control of wind, whoever remains in the control of God attains self-realization. God punishes us by giving us another body if we don't attempt to reach God even after obtaining a human body. God doesn't look at our work but at the intention behind our work. When our intentions are good, God blesses us with His grace, our spiritual path becomes clear, and our mind becomes purified. The effort made to realize God is called sadhana. The power bestowed by God to know God is called grace. When we have God's grace, we have everything.
Quality is superior to form. Self-knowledge is superior to quality. A person devoid of quality cannot attain self-knowledge. A birth devoid of self-knowledge is vain. Good qualities enhance discrimination, whereas bad qualities enhance ignorance. People possessing good qualities become Mahatmas, and people possessing bad qualities become sinners. Good deeds cleanse the thinking faculty, and bestow us with self-knowledge and bliss. There is no wealth more remarkable than the wealth of good qualities. People with good qualities shine bright in the future, whereas people with bad qualities get ruined.
Insight is greater than farsightedness. Farsightedness may lead to material growth, but insight allows you to experience the self. If you lead a natural and simple life, the doors of your heart will open, and the truth shining within your heart will reveal itself.
As drivers drive cars, our thinking faculty drives us. So, the thinking faculty resembles a car driver. The laziness of the thinking faculty is much more dangerous than the laziness of the body. The person or nation habituated to the laziness of thinking faculty will be subject to loot. You will not get the right path toward truth if your thinking faculty is impure. The subtleness of the thinking faculty is very important in the search for truth. Self can be attained only by people with subtle intellect and not by people with gross intellect. If your intellect grasps the content in the book, your intellect will blossom, and you will attain devotion to God. This devotion destroys all the flaws within your mind and grants you a peaceful thinking faculty. Without a peaceful thinking faculty, you cannot make spiritual progress.
The thought process is more important than emotion for spiritual progress. Your spiritual growth requires the control of your mind. Don't get anxious even if your fellow beings criticize you. Of all the qualities, steadiness is excellent. You can habituate it by practice. God ensures your fellow beings will criticize you to test your maturity level. Therefore, don't get depressed or emotional when criticized by others. Emotion kills the thinking faculty. Without a steady thinking faculty, One cannot differentiate between the true and false.
Destiny is restricted to the body only. It is in no way related to the self. Man exists as self only. However, he is subject to sorrow, due to his non-identification with the self, and his identification with the body. Only the reformed mind, which makes a spiritual effort, and purifies itself out of discrimination, attains self-knowledge. Once destiny is experienced, the body expires, regardless of whether we like it. If we cannot sacrifice the body consciousness, the danger is certain, and sorrow is inevitable. The Holy Company purifies the mind and gets rid of the body consciousness. One who experiences self as his very nature is unaffected by destiny. Where is destiny for the one who abides in the self? Destiny may exist for the body, but how can destiny exist for the self? You are the self but not the body. Isn't it?
Self-knowledge alone is permanent. There is no liberation apart from self-knowledge. The incarnations, acharyas, and jnanas, came onto this earth only to drive a man from the darkness of ignorance towards the luster of knowledge. Even the religions emerged only for this purpose. The bestower of knowledge is much greater than the donor of food. Though we are born with ignorance, we must die with self-knowledge. Though we cry at the time of birth, we must laugh at the time of death. There is nothing equivalent to self-knowledge in this world or any other world. Though you may possess abundant ignorance, it will be reduced to ashes when you attain self-knowledge. To attain self-knowledge, one needs the collaboration of self-effort, God's grace, and appropriate time. Only the one with the discriminating faculty, who realizes this life to be a dream, transcends ignorance, drinks the Ganges of knowledge, reaches the peaks of peace, and drowns in the ocean of bliss.
One does not become a sannyasi by wearing saffron clothes. Only he is a true sannyasi who sacrifices his doership. One does not become a jnani by controlling his senses. Only he becomes a jnani whose tendencies are completely eradicated. The tendencies get destroyed when we are desireless and work without any expectation. One who recognizes the omnipresence of God attains God's grace. Only those sacred people attain self-knowledge, who offer their body and mind, and selflessly work for the world's welfare. If you don't possess lively faith in God's existence, you cannot attain God realization.
A seeker utilizes his body as a bridge to transcend the false and experience the truth. Human birth resembles a railway junction. One can attain higher or lower worlds or liberation through human birth. It is only due to the fruit of meritorious deeds of several births that we get a human birth, devotion towards God, holy company, and the curiosity to listen to good words. Human birth is superior to any other birth. A jiva inevitably has to make an effort to attain self-knowledge. However, making that effort is possible only in a human birth.
You will attain liberation even if you chant the name of your personal God with intense love. It purifies your mind. The constant remembrance of God showers God's grace upon you. As you contemplate upon God, the fire of knowledge emerges within you.
Karma yoga implies doing selfless work. Bhakti yoga implies merging with God. Raja yoga implies concentrating the mind and controlling the senses to increase the pranic power. Jnana Yoga implies discriminating between the true and false to transcend the false. But what Sri Ramana preached is the path of self-inquiry. Self-inquiry implies withdrawing the mind into its source. The very goal of all these paths is self-realization only.
Devotion is constant remembrance of God. It is not ordinary. It resembles a great weapon. The weapon of devotion burns sins and flaws to end ignorance.
Delusion or Maya exists in the form of mind. It creates both the body and the world. It creates a differentiating faculty and thereby brings sorrow. Maya exists in several forms. Due to Maya, we cannot practice who am I. If Maya is in the control of God, we are in Maya's control. As long as we possess the tendencies of a jiva, we cannot predict when Maya will swallow us or in which form the snake of ignorance will bite us. If we have to transcend Maya, we should not leave the feet of God till our last breath. As long as we do not transcend Maya, the existent self seems non-existent and the non-existent world seems existent.
As a poor man's poverty vanishes on earning wealth, you will attain self-knowledge if you keep on listening about the self intently. Such self-knowledge will root out your ignorance. Today, the most unfortunate thing in society is that people are ready to worship, break coconuts, or light 1 lakh lamps, but are not prepared to listen to the scriptures. The regard given to a stone is not given to a teacher, incarnation, or jnani. One who can visualize God only in a stone cannot see the God shining within the heart. This does not mean that it is wrong to adore idols, or God doesn't exist in idols. God exists everywhere. The omnipresent God exists even within your heart. Forgetting this fact, you consider yourselves to be the body. To squeeze out your thinking faculty limited to your body, our elders restricted God to a stone. Even stone-like minds will become gold if you can visualize God in stone-made idols. If adoring idols can control the mind, the very purpose of idol worship gets accomplished. As long as you are away from divinity, experiencing sorrow is inevitable. You will become sorrowless only when you experience the self.
Japa done with mouth is much greater than worship done with hands. Meditation done with the mind is much greater than japa done with the mouth. Self-enquiry done with the reasoning faculty is much greater than meditation done with the mind. Meditation only suppresses the senses but does not annihilate the tendencies. Only he can become a jnani whose senses become infirm, not the one whose senses are suppressed.
The attempt to get released from I is called penance. Regulate your speech and conquer the same. Control your senses and conquer the same. It is only called penance. Self-knowledge is revealed, and truth is realized only through penance. It is only the truth that releases the man from bondage. The first step towards the truth is the question, who am I? One who gets the answer to this question before his body dies attains the final state. One need not run away from life or avoid responsibilities to find the answer to this question. Only those who get the answer to the who am I question are settled in peace. Rather than adoring demons, it is better to worship idols or gods. In the quest for the truth, the who am I question is more beneficial than worshipping gods. Without attaining the permanent abode of self, one cannot achieve freedom, peace, or bliss.
There is no penance greater than leading a good life. Everyone born as a human should learn to be good. One should do good as well as forget the same. If one leads a good life, the mind's impurities vanish, and the path towards liberation becomes visible. One should not hurt anyone either through thought, word, or body. One should speak out only that which exists in their heart, and put into practice whatever they speak. If one treads the path of righteousness, leads a crooked-less life, and possesses good behavior, their senses get controlled. What is unachievable in this universe for those who have such controlled senses?
Stop searching for others' flaws. First, reform yourself and then your fellow beings, transforming them into strong people. Reformation is greater than criticism. Construction is much better than destruction. If you are not pure, you cannot see the purity in the world. Therefore, stop searching for others' flaws and start your own reformation. You will be helpful to society only to the extent you are purified. Your mind becomes impure due to fault-finding.
Faithlessness corrupts the mind. Such a person is never peaceful. If possible, we must do good to society. Otherwise, we must at least admire the good being done. Even this brings merit. A faithless person becomes a criminal but not a Mahatma. The divine is not revealed to faithless people.
Even the desire for fame is a mental disorder. In the process of time, this disorder converts into an outburst, leading to several dire consequences, and distances us from the self. It is slavery to think thus: we are superior, and hence others have to honor us. It is a sign of ego. The ego has an object of sight, but the self has no such object. What exists is one and only one. The intelligent one who understands this truth transcends the desire to be honored by others.